like to just go through some of the logical operators from sheet 2C, um, and just to emphasize the concepts here and the way that they work. We'll do a very simple example in a moment. But for example, you can have if statements with just a single condition, but then you can also have an if statement with a combination of conditions. So that's one condition and that's a second condition. So that could be something like age is greater than 18, and the other condition could be age is less than 30. And the issue for you is how are they combined in order to return true or false? For example, you can have um, both are required, um, both are required to be true, and you get an ampersand, which is for both. Now, there is a variation on that where you use two of them, and that when you use two of them, what it says is if this returns false, it doesn't bother checking the second one, the whole thing will be false. So using two has the advantage that if one of the conditions fails, then the whole thing fails, and it doesn't require you evaluate the other one. So this would probably be the preferable one to do when you're trying to check both conditions because it's more efficient. Um, and for example, let's say that we have if age is less than 18 and the combination is age is greater than 65, right? Let's say that that's the condition we're looking at, but we want to, so this is for both. What happens if we want or? Either that's true or that's true. And the way that you do it are these lines. They appear on different keyboards, and you'll hopefully be able to locate them. Look at the sheet to see how you can actually replicate that. Now, if you use the combination of them, the single or means that one or the other, but both are checked, has to be true. If you use double of these two lines, if one of them is true, because it's an or statement, this whole statement will return true. Okay, so let's just go back, quickly emphasize this. These are to do with combined conditions. Notice two things about this. Each condition has to be standalone. You can't have, for example, if we look at the first one, you can't write age is greater than 18 and less than 30. Can you see that? Right. That is not a complete condition. And so you have to treat each of these conditions as small complete conditions in their own right. They have to make the full statement. So this is an area where students often mistype it and end up typing things like this because they think, okay, if age is greater than 18 and less than 30, they literally translate what they're thinking. The problem is that that's not a complete statement. That is. So you get a little bit of repetition in the way that combinations work. Using double ampersand for both means that if one of them is false, when both of them have to be true for that statement to be true, if one of them is false, the first one, that's it, the whole thing is false. So it doesn't need to check the second. So that's why using the double is an advantage. Using double or statements means that if one of them is true, you don't have to bother checking the second because only one has to be true. So pay attention to that and look at the exercises. What we'll do very, very quickly just to wrap up is to look at these conditions we had before. The first one was if it was less than 18. Okay, that's just a single condition. Let's just change our, it says if it's between 18 and 30. So technically you could rewrite this one, and let's just shift this onto a fresh line. You could rewrite this one. The first condition is age is greater than or equal to 18 and age is less than 30. Now, do you want to use the double or the single? Now, the only problem of using the double here is that if that returns, well, is it a problem? Let me throw it to you. It's very easy to misinterpret this. If that's false, then there's no point in checking that because part of it fails, therefore it will save you time, right? Let's shift this across. When you have single statements and if statements, you also don't really need to use the bracket and indent it in the way that I'm doing. but the advantage of using the bracket is it helps you spot code to execute versus condition. Condition, code to execute. So that's a very, very simple way of combining them. It gets complicated because they can be very large statements, and we can talk about how you would simplify these longer statements. Okay, so there are some exploration exercises tied to this particular sheet, which I would recommend that you do and play with and explore so you get a feeling for how it works in Java.